I thought it was strange that my fiancée asked me to stay with my mom the week before our wedding. She said it was for tradition. But one morning, I got a call from our wedding photographer. He said, "Just confirming the shoot this morning. Groom and groom at the Botanical Garden, right?" I was speechless. I showed up and saw her in a white dress, holding hands with his twin brother. They had rewritten everything. I just said, "Don't worry. The cancellation already handled. And so is your venue deposit." I'm 32, and I was supposed to get married last weekend in Charleston, South Carolina. Instead, I found out that the woman I loved for 5 years and the twin brother I trusted my whole life rewrote my wedding while I was out of the picture. Let me start at the beginning. Rachel and I met in college. I was in business school. She was studying art history. We bumped into each other at a bookstore downtown. She dropped her sketchbook. I picked it up, and the rest is history. She was smart, a little fiery, and had this confidence that I was drawn to immediately. We were both ambitious, both wanted to stay in Charleston after school. It made sense. We moved in together after 2 years, bought a small house in West Ashley, and got engaged a year later at the Battery during sunset. She cried. I cried. It felt perfect. I really believed we were meant to be. Planning the wedding wasn't easy. Rachel took charge of most of it. She said she had a vision and wanted it to reflect both of us, but still be elegant and traditional. I was okay with that. I just wanted to marry her. The date was set for April 26th at the Magnolia Plantation and Gardens. If you've ever been, you know how beautiful it is. Huge oaks, flowers everywhere, those long bridges over water. It was expensive, but worth it. A week before the wedding, Rachel sat me down and asked if I'd mind staying with my mom for a few days before the big day. She said it was a tradition in her family for the couple not to see each other the week leading up to the wedding. I asked her since when that was her tradition. We weren't following anything like that before, but she laughed it off and said it was important to her. I didn't argue. I figured maybe she just wanted some space to deal with last-minute stuff. I packed a few bags and stayed at my mom's place across town. I was a little hurt, but I chalked it up to wedding stress. Then, for days later, Saturday morning, I got a call from our photographer, Mark. "Hey man, just confirming the shoot this morning. Groom and groom at the Botanical Garden, right?" I sat straight up in bed. "Groom and groom? Don't you mean groom and bride?" There was a pause. I remember hearing him shuffle papers. This is Daniel's number, right?" "No, this is Alex. Rachel's fiancé." Another pause. A long one. "Shit. I think I need to make a call." I hung up before he could say more. I felt cold. Everything in me dropped. I sat there for maybe 10 minutes staring at the wall before I threw on clothes and drove straight to the venue. I didn't even think to call Rachel. I just needed to see. When I got to Magnolia Plantation, I parked down the road and walked in. I didn't want to be seen. My hands were shaking. I had no idea what I was about to walk into. Then I saw it. Down by the main garden, where we were supposed to say our vows, there was a crowd. Guests. Chairs set up. Flowers. Music playing. And at the front, standing under the white arbor, Rachel, in the exact white dress she picked out with her mom 2 months ago. And holding her hand, smiling like everything was normal, was Daniel, my twin brother. It felt like a punch to the throat. They looked cozy, comfortable, like they were really about to get married. There were even signs that said Daniel and Rachel's wedding, April 26th. They had changed the signs, changed the programs, the whole thing. Just erased me. I stood there, out of sight, and watched for a minute. My hands were clenched so tight I didn't even notice the pain until later. Then I walked out, slow and calm, until I was about 10 feet from them. Someone saw me first, a cousin of mine, and whispered something. Heads turned. Rachel froze. Daniel looked like he saw a ghost. She opened her mouth, maybe to say my name, but I cut her off. "Don't worry," I said. "The cancellation's already handled. And so is your venue deposit." I dropped the manila envelope I'd brought, a printed receipt showing I canceled the catering, and told the venue to hold the check under my name only. And then I walked out. I didn't wait for them to respond. I didn't answer calls. I didn't want to see what happened next. That was 6 days ago. I haven't spoken to Rachel or Daniel. I blocked them both. There's more to tell. A lot more. But this was how it started. After I walked away from the venue, I didn't go home. I drove around Charleston for hours. I kept thinking maybe it was a bad dream, that someone would call and say, this was a joke, or it's not what it looked like. But no one did. My phone buzzed nonstop, but I ignored every call. My mom was the only one I told right away. She sat across from me at her kitchen table while I explained what happened. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just sat there, staring at her coffee cup. Then she said, I always thought Rachel looked at Daniel too long, but I never wanted to believe it. That hit hard. I asked why she never said anything. Because I thought you were happy, and I didn't want to be the mom who causes drama. Later that night, I finally went home. My house, felt like a crime scene. Her shoes were still by the door. Her perfume still hung in the bedroom. I grabbed 2 trash bags and started throwing her stuff in them. Not all of it, just enough to make a point. Then I dumped the bags on Daniel's porch. He didn't come out, even though his car was there. I knocked once, loud, just to let him know I wasn't hiding. Then I walked away again. That should have been it. But of course it wasn't. 2 days later, I got a visit from Rachel's best friend, Kara. She looked pissed when I opened the door. I told her not to do it, she said without any greeting. I begged her. I didn't say anything. I just leaned on the doorframe, waiting. She said she loved you, Kara went on. But then things with Daniel got confusing. Confusing, I said. She planned a wedding with him. She swore they were just talking. Late night talks, texting when you weren't around. I didn't think it was anything serious either until 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks. Kara nodded. That's when she told me she wasn't sure who she was supposed to marry anymore. I was stunned. So she just picked him? She said it felt right. That maybe Daniel was her soulmate. That marrying you would have been a lie. I laughed. A short, bitter laugh. Then why didn't she just tell me? Why keep me in the dark until the day of? She didn't want to hurt you. Well, I said, she did a hell of a job avoiding that. Kara left after that. But before she did, she told me one more thing. She's pregnant. I didn't believe her at first. I actually said, no way. But Kara looked dead serious. She told me the day she bought the dress. That changed everything. The betrayal didn't just have layers, it had roots. She was pregnant, maybe unsure who the father was, and instead of dealing with it like an adult, she switched grooms and thought I'd just disappear? No. She made her choice. Now it was my turn. The venue contract? It was under my name only. Rachel had begged me months ago to co-sign it with her, but I said no. Same with the catering and the rentals. I told her I'd handle that part. Thank God I did. The day after I found out about the pregnancy, I contacted the venue again. Told them the wedding didn't go through, and since there was no legal ceremony, I wanted the remaining deposit back. They said it would take 14 business days. I also called the florist and photographer both in my name and told them the services weren't needed anymore. I asked if they were paid in full. One was. The other wasn't. I canceled the unpaid one immediately. I wasn't done. I started posting pictures, subtle ones. A photo of the empty venue. A shot of the manila envelope on the grass. A selfie with a caption. Some days, you realize you dodged more than just a bullet. It got traction. Friends and acquaintances started demanding me. People who were at the wedding messaged me too, saying they thought something was weird. A few even apologized for attending without knowing the full story. Then Daniel tried to call me. Once. Then again. Then I got a long text. I know you hate me. I don't blame you. But please let me explain. I didn't plan for this to happen. She came to me, not the other way around. I fought it. I really did. I still love you, man. You're my brother. I'm sorry. I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed. You're dead to me. I hit send. Then blocked his number. But I wasn't done. The days that followed weren't quiet. Word spread fast. Charleston's not a big city, and the circle Rachel and I ran in wasn't exactly discreet. Friends who hadn't talked to me in years started reaching out. Some were shocked. Some acted like they knew something was off. A few even admitted they'd seen Rachel and Daniel out together months ago, but thought it was innocent. It wasn't. What I didn't expect, though, was a call from Rachel's father. He's old school. A retired Navy guy. I always thought he liked me, at least more than Daniel, who he once told me needed to grow up. He left me a voicemail, Alex. I don't know what to say. I didn't know about this. I swear. Rachel's mother and I are embarrassed. I can't even look at her right now. I just wanted you to know. You didn't deserve this. And I'm sorry. If you need anything, you call me. I mean it. That was the first time I cried since the wedding day. Not because of what he said, but because he sounded ashamed, like he saw me as more of a son than his future son-in-law. Meanwhile, I kept digging. I remembered that Rachel kept a physical planner, one of those old-school spiral-bound ones she was obsessed with. I found it tucked in the bottom drawer of her desk at the house. It was filled with notes, reminders, sketches, and then I hit a page dated 6 weeks before the wedding. In shaky handwriting, she wrote, "Tested positive. Don't panic. Talk to Daniel, not Alex." I froze. So she'd known. That far back. Long before she asked me to leave the house. Long before the dress fittings and final RSVPs. She was planning this behind my back the entire time. I flipped through the next few pages. Notes about calling vendors, changing the signage, secretly transferring some funds. She even had a list of people she wanted to leave off the new guest list for obvious reasons. I wasn't even on the final page, like I'd been erased. But here's the twist that really gutted me. On a sticky note stuck to the back cover, she wrote, "If things go bad, say it was an accident. Say I was scared. Say it was just a mistake." She had a contingency plan, a backup lie in case the truth exploded. And yet, she still showed up at my house a week later. I didn't answer the door at first. I watched her from the upstairs window. She stood there holding her stomach, probably hoping the pregnancy card would get her sympathy. I let her knock for 5 minutes before finally walking out onto the porch. She didn't speak. Her face looked pale. Her hands were shaking. "You're not supposed to be here," I said. I had nowhere else to go. "You had Daniel." Her eyes watered, but I didn't care. Not anymore. "I don't even know if it's his," she whispered. I laughed. Out loud. "So you ruined my life over a maybe?" "I was scared," she said. "It got out of control." "No," I said. "You chose this. Every day, every lie, every plan. You chose to betray me, and you brought him into it. I just want to talk. Please." "You were talking," I said, "and I'm still not listening." She broke down crying right there. I watched for a minute. Then I turned and walked back inside. That same night, I called a lawyer. It was time to make things official. The lawyer I called was a guy named Blake who came highly recommended by a mutual friend. Straight shooter. Knew Charleston family law inside and out. I explained everything to him, every message, every piece of paper, even showed him the sticky note from Rachel's planner. He leaned back in his chair and said, "You're not married. That works in your favor. But you've still got leverage." That was the key word. Leverage. See, even though we weren't legally married, Rachel and Daniel tried to hijack a wedding I paid for. They used a venue booked under my name, spent money I fronted for catering and rentals, and made themselves the stars of a day that was never theirs. That wasn't just betrayal. That was fraud. Blake helped me file civil claims against both of them for the cost of the venue, the vendors, and emotional damages. I knew I might not win everything, but I wanted the fight. I wanted the record. When they got served, the reaction was immediate. Daniel texted me from a new number, "You're really going to sue your own brother?" I replied, "You're not my brother. You're a thief in a tux." Rachel called me next. I let it ring. Then she left a voicemail, "You're making this worse for all of us. I'm pregnant, Alex. Think about the baby." So now the baby was supposed to be my emotional hostage? I didn't respond. I gave the voicemail to Blake. Let the legal process do the talking. The court filings stirred up a storm. People in our circle took sides. Some backed off. Some doubled down. But the truth kept leaking. Then came the final twist. I got a message on Facebook from a woman I didn't know. Her name was Hannah. She said, "I know this might be strange, but I think we need to talk." I dated Daniel for almost a year. While he was with Rachel, I stared at the message for a long time before responding. We met up at a coffee shop, and Hannah laid it all out. She and Daniel had been seeing each other secretly for months, before and during his affair with Rachel. He told her he was in love with a girl who didn't love him back, but wouldn't name her. He cheated on both of us. Turns out, Rachel wasn't the only one betrayed. I had to ask, "Do you think the baby's even his?" She shrugged. "If it is, he doesn't deserve it." That stuck with me. Weeks went by. Court hearings started. Rachel didn't show for the first one. Daniel came alone, in a wrinkled button-down, looking like he hadn't slept in days. I didn't speak to him. I didn't look at him. I just watched the judge read through our statements. Blake laid it out clearly, how they used my money, my bookings, my trust. He showed copies of receipts, texts, screenshots from Rachel's planner. It was brutal and necessary. The judge didn't rule that day, but the message was clear. I had a real case. But the real revenge wasn't in the court. It was in the fallout. Rachel's family cut her off financially. She moved into a one-bedroom apartment off Dorchester Road. Daniel lost his job. Turns out, his boss didn't love liars, especially not ones who skip work to fake-wed their brother's fiancée. I heard through a mutual friend that the two of them split up 2 months after the hearing. Rachel told people it was too stressful. Daniel apparently drank more than usual. Neither one reached out again. And me? I sold the house. Moved across town. Started therapy. Rebuilt slowly. Then one day, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. No return address. It was from Rachel. If I could take it back, I would. Every second. I don't expect forgiveness. But I wanted to say I'm sorry, not for losing you, but for what I turned into. I threw it in the fire without reading the rest. Some mistakes don't deserve answers. Some people write themselves out of your story. As for me, I'm still standing. And that's more than either of them can say.